For Doctor Who canon, the Time War is probably one of the most significant events that ever takes place. The battle mainly between the Daleks and the Time Lords and other races, which wiped out both of them. But in today's video, we're not going to be speaking about the events of the Time War, we're going to be speaking about how the events changed the Doctor's character, not only in the show, but also in writing. It's established in the show that the Doctor wiped out both Daleks and Time Lords. This isn't stated until much later on, we just know that there was a war that erased both races. A very big difference you'll notice between Classic and New Who is that the Doctor in New Who opposes violence. He never carries a gun, he doesn't like to commit acts of violence, and that is due to the Time War, and we see this reference so often within the show.
The Doctor's soul is revealed. See him, see the heart of him.
The man who abhors violence, never carrying a gun. But this is the truth, Doctor. You take ordinary people and you fashion them into weapons.
So when the show does progress and the Doctor does pick up a weapon like a gun, it sends shivers down your spine. This isn't something that we're used to in New Who. This isn't in his character, it isn't within his nature, and scenes like this genuinely send shivers down your spine. And the show used this as great characterization and development for the Doctor. When the Doctor slowly becomes the Time Lord victorious and breaks his own rules and changes time because he's lost everyone and he's sick of it, you can see it. You can see the effect the Time War has had on him. He's a broken man. And that's something that Russell T Davies especially focuses on with David Tennant's Doctor, the 10th Doctor, and the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. You see the Doctor now and again slip into this angry, vengeful god. And it's scary. It's genuinely scary, and he tries to cover it up by using companions and travellers and trying to move past it. But when he loses all of that, it comes out. The rage and anger that's built up from the Time War and losing everything.
You don't understand. You will never understand.
I don't understand. Are you kidding me? Of course I understand. I mean, do you call this a war, this funny little thing? This is not a war. I fought in a bigger war than you will ever know. I did worse things than you could ever imagine. And when I close my eyes, I hear more screams than anyone could ever be able to count.
Something that in New Who has stayed consistent is when the Doctor loses a companion or a Doctor stops travelling with them, they go too far and they go dark. We can see this after the Doctor loses Rose and nearly ends his life because he's fighting the Racnos and goes too far. Another great example of this is when the 11th Doctor goes too far in A Good Man Goes to War and a town called Mercy. He's a vengeful god. He's lonely and his friend's been taken away from him and they've stopped travelling with him, and he doesn't know how to cope. It's portrayed in the show as the Doctor's almost terrified of his past as the War Doctor and the atrocities he committed in the Time War, however necessary or not, and it comes out in anger, it comes out in sadness, and the Doctor doesn't like endings. And I partly believe that this is the reason is the Time War. I believe the Time War fundamentally changed how the Doctor acts and how the Doctor is portrayed in New Who. A lot of these values are still held just very loosely by the classic era Doctors. They're not afraid to pick up a gun, where if you look at New Who, it's played as a big moment, a big scene, where the Doctor will just pick up a gun and, threaten Davros. I think the idea that the Doctor is tormented and constantly in turmoil and he's just hiding it is a great but depressive piece of writing, and it's great to see put onto screen, and it creates some of the best moments in Doctor Who.
Now you take this, that's an order, Doctor. Take the gun. You take the gun and save your life. And please don't die, you're the most wonderful man and I don't want you to die.
Never.
The Doctor holds his values so high due to the things he committed that even if he faces death or the idea that he might die, he won't pick up a weapon, he won't pick up a gun, he will use his intelligence, he will do anything not to pick up a weapon, because he's scarred, because he's tormented by his previous actions, and it's a great piece of television. It's great to see the Doctor characterization like this, and it's something that I hope to see again in the future. But of course, at the moment, we've got a clean slate with the Doctor. All his torment and stuff has sort of been put to the side with a brand new era. So I'm hoping in the future we might see some more of this, but right now, the Time Lord victorious and all that stuff is sort of in the past. Although the Time War has made him restrictive in his emotions, in how he acts, he will go too far sometimes. We see this all the time in the show. He will go too far, and it has an impact when he does, because it's not something you're used to, but you can understand why he does it. And I think that's something that's really great about the characterization of the Doctor in New Who. You feel sorry for him, but you're also, at the same time, kind of scared of him. Because you know when he does go too far, he's the villain of someone else's story.
In charge of those laws, but they died. They all died. Do you know who that leaves? Me! It's taken me all these years to realise the laws of time are mine, and they will obey me!
It restricts how he acts in day-to-day adventures. He's running constantly. Of course, before he was running from Gallifrey, but now he's running from his past, and it catches up to him sometimes, and it's great. And these are my reasons for how the Time War has affected the Doctor. The Time War has affected the Doctor in many other ways. He is more violent, he is more powerful, he is like a vengeful god. But these are just my favourite ways. Some are more obvious than others, and that's okay. It's just something that's been on my mind as a recent, when I think about Doctor Who, is I always think about the Doctor's more violent side and the more chaos side. How he's feeling and the emotions that he exhibits. And it's great. It's probably my favourite piece of New Who is when he breaks from the Time War. When his emotion comes out and he goes too far. That is what makes Doctor Who so good and so powerful in scenes. It's just great.